Hey, everybody. Hi. How are you tonight? Welcome to Keeping It Real. I'm Gretchen, and this is my vlog, Keeping It Real, where I hope to bring all things new that I'm learning about going live through eCam. Take you along on my journey with learning the steps and things and the parts of eCam and trying to put them together and having you there as I fumble my way through, and you can see all the mistakes and then you can see my successes as they come along, as well as showing you some of the things I feel really strong about, like my photography, and sharing that, showing live editing, different kind of apps, things to do, all things related to photography and how I get to making an image and finding the beauty hidden in plain sight. And last but not least, a little nod to my life as a school teacher, especially as a librarian, and my love of children's literature. I really, really like kids' literature. Some might say obsessively so. There was a time for 3 years running, I won Best Customer of the Year at the Secret Garden bookstore in Seattle. If you know anything about the Northwest, Secret Garden bookstore was voted the best children's bookstore, independent bookstore, in the entire Northwest, including Washington, Oregon, and Idaho. And that includes Powell's books, which, whoa, Powell's has a lot in Portland. But the Secret Garden was a special place. And Christmas time was a special place to be there. And each year, we would have this, hang on, this is one of the things I always forget to do. I want to be sure that I'm really going live, so I have to assure myself by going onto YouTube, finding myself, making sure my sound is down, and there I am. Okay, yay. So at Secret Garden, usually the first weekend in December, the owners would have a book signing, and all the local authors would come and bring their books, and we could get them signed and autographed for different kids, for our families or for ourselves. I started going a long time ago. It got to the point where if I was late or didn't show, the authors would wonder where I was, where was their groupie. They would wait to go out to lunch so that I could go with them, and it was very fun. And it wasn't just local authors, it was authors from all over. I was there when Chris Van Allsburg came with the Polar Express when it first came out, and I was able to get a signed copy of the Polar Express, and I have a lot of his books that I love. Other books that I have, and when I first started, I was getting books for myself and signed to myself, and then as I had children, they were signed to Annalena, and then they were signed to Bryn. In fact, one local author loved my daughter Annalena's name so much that she asked if she could borrow it for her book. And in her book, A Song for Lena, the story characters are Anna and Lena. And it was just one of those cute, wonderful little things. Hey, Angie's here. I'm going to greet my people. Here, Angie's here. Yay. Oh, she says I'm adorable. Well, I had to do the hat. It had to help. And it's good to be here. It's good to be here. Angie had a great auction last night of her beautiful, fabulous fluid art. It was very cool to see that live auction. It's kind of inspired me to maybe do one of my photography, but that's a whole different thing. Anyway, so all about stories and storytelling and reading books. As it was, I developed a huge collection, and this was even before I became a librarian. And when the position of librarian opened up, there was some reluctance to let me have it because I didn't have a library certificate. And I didn't have a master's in library science and this and that, but I had a master's in educational technology, and my degree was in oral interpretation of literature. And all the librarians in the district kind of went to the administrators and said, Gretchen knows more about children's literature than we do. She knows more of the authors. She's been there. She's done that. She sees them. She collects them. She knows her stuff about books, and she loves it. And so I was given the opportunity in the fall of 1999 to leave the classroom and take over an elementary library. And I stayed in that library from the fall of 99 through spring of 2018. It was my happy place, and I brought literature and wonder to kids and my books and sharing. Those books that I collected over the years for my own kids grew in huge amount, and now my own grandchildren, all the ones that are signed to Annalena, have gone on to Annalena's house, and the ones that are signed to Bryn have gone to Bryn's house for her 3 kids to enjoy, and Annalena has 2 that enjoy them. And then the ones that were signed to both girls, or just to me, yeah, there's a few of those, are here at our house in the grandkids' room. Probably in there's probably a library of a good 500 books, with each of my daughters taking at least another 500 of their own. So yeah, I had a lot of books. No wonder I won Best Customer. I stopped buying an awful lot of them when I became the librarian. Hi, Gloria. Yay, because honestly, I had books. I used to go to the King County Library book sale and just wagon loads of books and buy them for pennies on the dollar so that I could let kids take them home and just keep them as their own. If they didn't come back to me, I always told the kids, if you want the book so badly, if it means that much to you, just bring it to me, tell me, and I'll sign it over to you, and I'll put your name in it, and it's yours. And it was wonderful to do that. It was actually wonderful. So over the years, I also had an opportunity to do some classes with people where I met other authors throughout. I met Jan Brett, I met Jack Perlutsky, I met Stephen Kellogg, and all different places. But I did not ever get to meet Gloria Houston, who is the author of the book I'm reading tonight. But she wrote, this one is probably my favorite Christmas book to read aloud because of the rhythm of the language and the history and the culture. But she also wrote My Great Aunt Arizona, which is a book about a teacher, and it is amazing, absolutely amazing. But I worked with a good friend, and my good friend had known the illustrator of this book, Barbara Cooney, and so there was that connection there when that happened. But so tonight I'm going to share with you the story called The Year of the Perfect Christmas Tree. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 2, author and illustrator. So I had that. So Gloria Houston, she was also Dr. Gloria Houston. She was internationally as an educator and an author of multi-award-winning bestsellers for young readers, as well as textbooks. And she lived until she was 75. She wrote over 10 books that were published in numerous languages. And if you asked her ever, she would always say that first and foremost, she was a teacher. She uh, taught at a couple different colleges, South Florida and Western Carolina University. She was from North Carolina, and her initial teaching career was in K-12, and she frequently, as she said, identified herself first, last, and always as a teacher. Her books are filled with Appalachian mountain history and culture, with great attention to detail woven throughout the characters and the scenery, and many of the characters are based on family members, which pay attention tonight closely, because that is the case tonight. Now, the illustrations in children's picture books are very rarely done by the author. Hey, Sammy, how are you? Hey, Sammy's here, Sammy Superstar. Ooh, Paul? It's Paul Duncan. Is it me or my volume low? Thank you, Paul. I'll turn it up. Thank you. I've had audio issues, so I'll turn my volume. So my good friend Paul Duncan is here, which he's been a super mentor in all this and helping me get started with eCam. And then Sammy does a lot of lives. And Gloria and Angie, my two dear friends from the fluid art community who have just been by my side every night in one of these. It's awesome. So I'm very pleased to have these guys here tonight. Thank you so much. But as I was saying, if I didn't lose my train of thought, which I did. Okay, so everybody take cheers. A little bit of a cheers to drink. We'll celebrate. Tonight's going to celebrate my life as a librarian and my love of children's literature. This, I know, I was talking about Barbara Cooney, the illustrator, and telling you a little bit about children's books. When an author goes to get a book published, most publishing companies have a select list of illustrators that they will go to because they know those illustrators sell children's books. And it is very difficult to get a book published by a major publishing company if you want to have your own illustrator or do your own pictures. That just doesn't happen. And so, but this match between Gloria Houston and Barbara Cooney is just amazing. Barbara Cooney was an American writer and illustrator of 110 children's books. What? She published for over 60 years, and she was recipient of 2 Caldecott medals for her work on Chanticleer and the Fox and the Oxcart Man. Now, if you're of my age, you probably know both those books because your kids probably read them, or even you might have read them. And she also won a National Book Award for one of my very favorite books, Miss Rumphius. Oh my gosh, that's an amazing book. Such an amazing. She died in 2000, and she was born in 1917. But so both of these ladies have passed, but they left behind an amazing heritage. And this story I'm reading tonight is called The Year of the Perfect Christmas Tree. So I hope you poured yourself something and are ready to sit back and listen and have a comfy time. Angie, you thought it was wax in your ears. Sorry for the squirrel. Oh no, squirrels are good. I love squirrels. So let's see if I can get this to where, oops, that's not what's supposed to happen. Enter the passcode. Why do I need a passcode? Fiddle, I let it sit for too long. There. Okay. Try that. There we go. Now that's something I didn't expect. I had this set up quite some time ago. With my knee, I have to set things up in advance and do it bit by bit by bit. So here's the book called The Year of the Perfect Christmas Tree. Now, here's the first eCam win I'm going to zip over to, is that the other night, when I wanted to read Cajun Night Before Christmas, I couldn't get this to work. And I have it working tonight, so I'm really, really, really pleased. Really pleased. Really, really pleased. So, here we go. Yeah, if you love the illustrations now, Angie, just you wait. So, we'll start. So this is The Year of the Perfect Christmas Tree, an Appalachian story by Gloria Houston, pictures by Barbara Cooney. And the dedication is something that I want you to pay attention to. So it's for Mama, Ruth Green Houston by Gloria Houston. And then it's also for J. Myron by Barbara Cooney. But remember that it's for Mama, Ruth Green Houston. It was getting toward Christmas in the valley of Pine Grove. The wise folks said the old woman in the sky was picking her geese, for the Appalachian mountains lay blanketed with snow. The road wound like white ribbons around the misty blue ridges, tracked by the runners of wagons, sleds, and sleighs. Occasionally, an automobile chugged its way through the silence. Across the ocean, the Great War raged, but in the valley, all was at peace. It was getting on toward the Christmas Ruthie would never forget. The Christmas when the village almost did not have a Christmas tree. It happened this way. Ruthie told me so. "Come, my pretty young'un," Papa had said one day in the early spring. "It is time to choose the Christmas tree for the village church." "But Papa, Christmas will not come for a long time," said Ruthie. "The sarvice trees are just now in bloom." "We must choose a special tree and mark it for the coming year. It is the custom of our village," said Papa, "for one family to give all the folk in the village and up in every hill and holler a Christmas tree for Pine Grove Church. This year it is our turn. Some years a timbering man will give a fat round laurel from the northy coves, the kind the outlanders call rhododendron. Other years the holler folk may bring a cedar to spread its fragrance through the village church." "What kind of tree shall we have, Papa?" said Ruthie. "We shall have a balsam Christmas tree, my pretty young'un," said Papa. "The balsam grows up the rocky crags where only a venturesome man may go. The balsam is the perfect tree. It grows up high, near to heaven." So Papa and Ruthie rode on old Paddy's back, across the high cliffs and across the crags, looking for the perfect balsam Christmas tree. They rode and rode from the early morning until the sun was high in the sky. Finally, they saw it, growing on the edge of a high cliff on Grandfather Mountain. Alone with no other trees around it, its green color was dark and rich. It was the perfect shape and size, its tip-tip-top pointing up to heaven. "This will be our perfect Christmas tree," said Papa, "and as is the custom that self-same year, you shall be the heavenly angel in the village Christmas play. It is fitting that you should mark the Christmas tree." Papa took the red ribbon from Ruthie's coal-black curls. He lifted her high in his strong arms. "Tie this to the tip-tip-top," he said, and then he kissed the dimple in each of Ruthie's cheeks. The summer came, and Papa was called away to be a soldier. He went to fight in a war far across the sea. That year the timber was not cut, so Mama had no money to buy coffee, sugar, or cloth for new dresses. Mama and Ruthie drank peppermint tea sweetened with honey. Mama lowered the hems of Ruthie's dresses and embroidered pretty flowers over the tears and mends. Together, they tended the little garden, growing vegetables to eat. And every night, Mama tucked Ruthie into her little bed and listened as she said the same prayer. "Please send my Papa home for Christmas," Ruthie whispered. "And please have old St. Nicholas bring me a doll with a beautiful dress, the color of cream, all trimmed with ribbons and lace." One day that fall, when the dried corn shocks rustled in the breeze, a package came from Papa. In it were soft silk stockings for Mama and blue satin hair ribbons for Ruthie. There was a letter, too. "I'll be home for Christmas," the letter said. "The war is finally over. The armistice was signed today." And the days passed, and each day Ruthie ran home from school as fast as the deer that fed by the stream. "Is Papa home?" she called as she ran up the steps. But every day Mama said, "Not today, maybe tomorrow. He will come home on the Tweetsy train." And the days passed, and Ruthie listened for the squeaky whistle of the little train that the mountain folk called Tweetsy as it chugged through the valley and up the mountainside. One day, Mama and Ruthie harnessed old Piety to the sled and went to the station at Pinola. But when the other men from the village stepped down from the train, Papa was not with them. Soon there was only one more day till Christmas Eve. Over at the school, Miss Jenny and her pupils were practicing the Christmas play. The children sang the Appalachian lullaby, "Jesus, Jesus, rest your head, you have got a manger bed." Miss Jenny chose the boy and the girl who would be Mary and Joseph. Then she called Ruthie's name. "This year you shall be the heavenly angel," Miss Jenny said. "This is the year your papa will give the church its Christmas tree." And Miss Jenny helped Ruthie climb up to stand on the teacher's chair so it would look as if she were up in the sky. Miss Jenny showed her how to hold her arms just so. "If you wear a dress with great big sleeves," said Miss Jenny, "it will look like you have wings." "Mama, Mama," said Ruthie as she ran up the front steps that day, "I must have a new dress with great big sleeves. I'm going to be the heavenly angel when Papa gives the Christmas tree." "Oh, my pretty young'un," said Mama, "I have no cloth to make a dress with great big sleeves, and I have no money till your Papa comes home." Mama kissed the dimple in each of Ruthie's cheeks and hugged her daughter tightly. That night, the preacher from Pine Grove Church knocked at the door. "Tomorrow's Christmas Eve, Miss Green," he said, "and Tom is not yet home from the war. Chad McKinney has been saving a prime cedar on his bottomland for Christmas next. He'd as lieve cut the tree this year." "This is the year our family gives the tree," said Mama. "Tom chose it before he went away to war." "I'd hoped you'd heed my wish," said the preacher. "The church must have a Christmas tree when the morrow comes." "Tom is as good as his word. Our family will give the tree this year," said Mama. Late that night, Mama wakened Ruthie, and they dressed in their warm coats, hats, and mittens. Mama hitched old Piety to the big sled Papa used to haul fire logs down from the ridges. The moon shone as silver as Mama and Ruthie made their way up the hill. Ruthie carried the lantern. As they came up to the dark woods, the winter moon made strange shadows on the snow. "Mama, I'm afraid," said Ruthie. "No need to be afraid," said Mama. "We're off to get the perfect balsam Christmas tree." And Mama began to sing, "I wonder as I wander out under the sky." And Ruthie joined in the song, and soon she forgot to be afraid. Mama and Ruthie led old Piety up the sled up the hills and across the ridges, but they could not find the perfect balsam. "Papa says the balsam grows high on the rocky crags up near heaven where only a venturesome man will go," said Ruthie. "Oh, the rocky crags," said Mama. "We have a long climb ahead." Slowly they led old Piety along the ridge to the highest crag on Grandfather Mountain. They could see the village sleeping in the valley far below. Finally, at the edge of the highest cliff, they saw the balsam standing alone. "There it is, Mama," Ruthie cried. "See, there's my ribbon. There's my ribbon bow tied to the tip-tip top." And Ruthie ran up the rocky crag as Mama and old Piety followed. The blade of Papa's axe shone in the moonlight as Mama lifted it high. The whack! Crack! The sounds echoed through the rocks and hills. Then Mama picked up the saw and said, "Take hold of the end, my pretty young'un. Pull as hard as ever you can." Mama pulled and Ruthie pulled and pull, back and forth until the perfect balsam Christmas tree fell softly into the snow. Ruthie and Mama lifted the tree onto the sled and tied it there. Then they made their way toward the ridge. "I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning," they sang. Through the soft snow they led old Piety to the church, and together they lifted the perfect balsam Christmas tree from the sled and stood it in the corner near the belfry wall. Just as the sun was rising over Doe Hill, they hurried home. Tucking Ruthie into her little bed, Mama whispered, "The folks shall have their Christmas tree, and you shall be the heavenly angel this year." Ruthie fell fast asleep, but Mama sat long by the firelight, sewing as fast as her nimble fingers could move. First, she cut the ribbons and lace from a wedding dress, the color of cream. From it, she fastened a smaller dress with flowing long sleeves. Then she took a soft silk stocking, stuffed it with lamb's wool, and stroked it until it was smooth and round. She embroidered it with 2 blue eyes, little black curls, and a dimple in each cheek. From the scraps of Ruthie's dress, she made a tiny dress just like it, all trimmed with ribbons and lace, and she dressed the stocking doll in the tiny dress. The sun was high in the winter sky when a knock came at the door. "Good Christmas Eve, Preacher Alice," Mama said. "Do come in and spell yourself." "Did you hear the news about the Christmas tree?" the preacher said. "A wondrous balsam from up the high crags was found on the belfry porch this morning." Do tell. What a wonder," said Mama. "And that's not all. It's being told hereabouts that folks who live up in the holler heard the angels singing high on the ridge late into the night. And they were singing Christmas songs," said Preacher Alice. Ruthie hid her face in Mama's patchwork quilt so the preacher would not hear her laugh. Daylight was fading when Mama helped Ruthie into the prettiest dress Ruthie had ever seen. It was made of the softest silk, the color of cream, all trimmed with ribbons and lace. It had long flowing sleeves. "If you hold your arms just so," said Mama, "it will look as you have wings." At the church, the ladies of the valley had decorated the perfect balsam Christmas tree. Reflections of the tiny red candles in their shiny holders fastened to the tips of branches shone in the windows. Tied to the lower branches of the tree were presents wrapped in pretty paper, and on the tip top was a tiny angel. The sexton rang the bell, and from up and down the river road and from all the hills and hollers, the folks were coming to celebrate the Christmas tree. A choir of children sat by the organ. The 3 kings waited outside the belfry door. Behind the bedsheet curtains, Mama helped the little Mary put her doll to bed in the manger straw, and Ruthie climbed up and stood on the preacher's big chair. The ladies pushed the bedsheet curtain back, and Ruthie could see herself in the dark church windows. She was careful to hold her arms just so. In her beautiful dress, it looked as if she had wings. "Behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy," said Ruthie, the heavenly angel. When the program was over, Ruthie went to sit with Mama on the front pew, and Mama held her close. When the 3 kings came walking down the aisle, carrying lard pails filled with the Christmas treat pokes, each bag contained a soft peppermint stick, some chocolate drops, an orange, and some hazelnuts. Behind the kings walked old St. Nicholas. He carried his tow sack goodie bag with him. Old St. Nick visited the Amen corner first. He gave each of the deacons a lump of coal or a willow switch. The folk in the church laughed. Then to all the children who had misbehaved, old St. Nick gave a willow switch or a lump of coal as well. Ruthie had been good that year, so she got a treat poke instead. At last it was time to call the names on the presents tied to the tree. Every child in the church received a present. Everyone, that is, except Ruthie. A tear slipped down into the dimple of her cheek. Then one of the kings reached to the tip-top of the perfect balsam Christmas tree, and he lifted the tiny angel down. "Why, Ruthie," said old St. Nick, "this tiny angel looks just like you." And it did. The tiny angel was wearing a dress that was like Ruthie's. It was made of the softest silk, the color of cream, and it was trimmed with ribbon and lace, and the leaves were long and flowing, and it looked as if she had wings. The angel's curls were black as coal, and she had a dimple in each cheek. Ruthie hugged the tiny angel and kissed its silky cheek, which felt just like the silk stockings Papa had sent to Mama. The preacher said the benediction, and St. Nicholas wished to one and all a happy Christmas. And slowly the people began leaving the church. Mama and Ruthie walked out the belfry door. St. Nicholas was standing there. A man in an army uniform stood beside him. "And here's another present for you, Ruthie," said St. Nicholas. But Ruthie was so busy looking at the tiny angel that she did not notice until strong arms picked her up. "Let me look at you, my pretty young'un," said Papa's voice. And he hugged Ruthie, Mama, and the tiny angel all at the same time. The village folk gathered around the church steps. Someone from the village began to sing, "Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright." And the folk in the village joined in, but Papa, Mama, Ruthie, and the tiny angel hardly heard. They just hugged each other some more. And since that time, every year, for more than 60 years, a tiny angel has stood on top of a perfect balsam Christmas tree. She wears a dress of softest silk, the color of cream, all trimmed with ribbons and lace. The sleeves are long and flowing, and it looks as if she has wings. The angel has coal black curls and a dimple in each cheek. That's how it happened. The Christmas of the heavenly angel and the perfect balsam Christmas tree. Grandma Ruthie told me so. And that's the year of the perfect Christmas tree. Yeah. I hope you guys liked it. It's one of my favorites. Hi, art by Donna. Oh my gosh, it's good to have you here. I know, aren't the illustrations beautiful of that book? I can't recommend any combination of these two ladies' books or any of their books. Barbara Cooney's illustrations are beyond amazing, but Gloria Houston's stories, my great aunt Arizona, has to be just one of my faves. Oh, I'm so glad you guys were here. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, I'm glad you could. Oh, my voice is hypnotizing. I've been known to put my grandkids to sleep to it and to soothe several children when they need a soothing story. But that's what storytelling is all about, is, there's so much about this kind of story, so much beyond in children's books. When I would use this book in my classroom in the library, it led into such a discussion about World War I and Appalachia and all the different things that went around, and even things about what a treat poke is and what these children were getting for Christmas that was a treat, and that was hazelnuts and orange and a chocolate drop, and that was a huge thing for them. And just, it's pretty wonderful to go back and share these traditions. Oh, Paul, that's so nice of you. Great. He says to do a video reading a book. I bet you would do a wonderful job because you have a great voice, Paul. You really do. So anyway, I'm really glad you guys joined me tonight. I think story time will become a regular part of Keeping It Real because that's what it is. It's part of me. It's keeping it real. It's learning to read the story and finding the nuances and finding the parts to it, and then being able to read that same story again and again and again to someone. The things about children's literature people oftentimes find surprising is, it has to be a book that has a good beginning, middle, and end. And the middle, when you open the middle, the picture has to have something, the middle part of the picture. I'll click it right back here so you can see. So the central part of the story needs to fall to the central part of the book. And the book can't be more than 32 pages. Children's official picture books are no more than 32 pages. So halfway through is this, the illustration that fits the central part of the story. Not only does it have to fit that format and be within the constraints, but generally it has to be able to capture the attention of a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old or a 3-year-old, and it has to capture the attention of the adult who needs to read it every night for a year and a half. Trust me, I know that one. I read the same book every night for a year and a half to my daughter Annalena. It was called Goodnight, Sammy. If I'm pushed, I could probably remember it. But, that's what brings them back to it again and again and again. And they're just an amazing, amazing piece of literature. Really, really are. And this is one that is actually one is more of a read aloud because it's a higher reading level and you don't get kids checking it, the younger kids checking it out as much, but the older kids will check it out to learn to read to the younger kids. And it's a really great way for them to do that. So anyway, children's lit, my thing. I love it a whole bunch. And, this has always been, when the family would get together, this was one of the ones I would bring to read to the whole family, and it's guaranteed to make my sisters cry, which is always a bonus to see if I can make them tear up. It was like, yay, I got them. Yeah, well, that's just one of the things. So, you guys, it has been a delight to be here. Let me switch back to my other camera. I have to remember how to do this. That's what I didn't put on. I didn't put in hotkeys. Oh well. Thank you so much for being here. This is day 23 of this, and you've watched the things that have fallen apart and that have come back together. And the first night with Cajun Night Before Christmas didn't go so well the way I wanted it to, but it still was a great story to read. And trust me, I think it will come back. Because now that I have this set up, that Cajun story has to come back the night before Christmas. But, and I have to find Santa Cows. I think Santa Cows is at Annalena's house. I may have to nab it. But Santa Cows is another great one. Yes, Santa Cows. So everybody, cheers, one and all. I wish you a good night. And as always, thank you for being here. Thank you for going on this journey with me. Thank you for all the amazing things and that you do in your own lives and supporting live and your art. And it's just a delight to talk to you over this. And as I always say, keep looking for the beauty hidden in plain sight. In the first place you gotta look is in the mirror. And on that, I have a new way to say goodnight. Listen to this. Another new thing I did. Watch this, see if it works.